Welcome back inside BC Place Stadium as the two sides head out onto the pitch. Team Canada, ranked 18th in the world, set to take on the number 10, Japan. The Japanese starting lineup looks like this. A veteran group, particularly on that front line, Inagaki, Kizu, and Hatakeyama. The captain, experienced there in the 12 position, Tatekawa.
And the affable Tanaka at number 9. He's such a wonderful player, very popular. This is an experienced side. And up front, I think they may give the Canadian fits in the scrummage.
There is some veteran presence on Team Canada, but first the reserves for Japan. And in a game like this, probably a chance we see most of these reserves on both sides, right?
I think we will in the second half. There will be tactical changes. There could be injury changes before that, but in the second half, I suspect both coaches would like to give every player dressed a run.
A lot of youth on Team Canada, but the veteran anchor there on the second row, Captain Jamie Cudmore, who provides that ever-present, calm, cool, collected mentality out there.
Yeah, Jamie Cudmore, what a leader he is. Very proud to be captain of Canada. Aaron Carpenter at number 8, his 72nd cap, creeping up on Al Sharon's Canadian record. And I'm curious to see how number 7 debutant Lucas Rumble does at flanker. And the back line is a mix of speed and vets. Off the bench, Jamie McKenzie went to the World Cup, very good scrum half. I'm sure we'll see him. Big Tom Dozell is back after a shoulder injury.
And Paul Chilini with a good performance there in the ARC series as well. A great crowd here inside BC Place Stadium, set to watch this contest between two top 20 teams. And the last 7 between these two squads, tightly contested, but Canada unable to get over that hump and become victorious.
And one of the issues the Canadian team has had in the last few years is finishing games in the last quarter of the game, Blake. And it'll be a real test today in front of this home crowd, a great venue, to try and put in a full shift of 80 minutes. It's a very, very bad habit they got into under the guidance of Kieran Crowley. The slate is clean today, and I think they want to get off to a good start and play hard for 80 for the new coach.
One pattern they undoubtedly would love to continue was the fast starts. It was the poor finishes that sort of was the hallmark of the Kieran Crowley era, but goodness knows points were on the board often quickly for Team Canada during that era.
And every game, starting today, every game's a tryout for Japan 2019, the Rugby World Cup. A lot of new, younger players. We will see, as I said, some players off the bench. But I do like the veteran mix. Ray Barkwell at hooker, Nick Blevins in the center.
Come to the mill.
Some World Cup experience there for the youngsters.
Kickoff just moments away.
Thank you very much.
Again, the first ever international test match on this pitch. That saw a very weighty crowd watch a sevens tournament, of course, a few weeks back. The referee today, Federico Anselmi from Argentina. You'll hear his voice describing the calls out on the pitch a fair amount during the course of this contest. But as I mentioned, first chance to see the 15s out there, and we'll, I'm sure, get a review of the surface afterwards, but it might help the speed of this game a little bit.
It should, and nothing but kudos to the Canadian players and also the organizers for the sevens in March. It was a wonderful tournament. Canada did very well in the tournament. They went 5-1. The fans were phenomenal, 60,000 plus over 2 days. But this is a different kettle of fish today. I think the Canadian 15s really want to get off to a good start. They don't want to get behind Japan early.
And you'll kick in right.
Utamura.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
They're at the center line, set for kickoff here. Again, Japan ranked 10 after a fabulous showing at last year's Rugby World Cup, and will look to continue some of that momentum under new head coach Mark Hammett. And we are set to go here in Vancouver. Canada just at the 22. Aaron Carpenter controls with the first touch of the ball. And at the breakdown, the ball is swiftly moved by Canada to the strong side. McCrory gets things started once again for Canada. Parker able to kick it downfield, not as far as he would like. A hand was on it for Japan, and now at the 10, Japan with possession. Quick movement to the strong side again for Japan. A move by Matsushima hits the red wall of Canada. Canada strong right now, keeping Japan just on the outside of that 10-meter line. Tamura knocked heavily by Canada and able to progress a few yards further. And again, a Canadian wall there at the 10-meter line, as Japan has trouble pushing through. Carpenter in the mix there. The center of that red wall kicked ahead. And Taylor Paris lets it go to touch.
Even though it's very early, Blake, you see the structure of the Japanese side. Their ball in contact, very good.
Thanks.
I thought Canada did well. They secured the kickoff. They had a few nice touches. Parfrey's initial kick of the game was partially blocked. They turned the ball over. Japan's not going to give them much. They're going to have to earn it. And this is a very big part of the game. The first line out, the set pieces are going to be imperative for Canada. They have to have parity.
Ray Barkwell will be the man throwing in on these lineouts, at least to start this game before the substitutions begin for Canada. And out of the ruck, we'll see if Canada's able to get its first momentum forward. McCrory, high kick to the center line, and a quick, no, they will hold it now for a lineout, does Japan, opting against the quick throw-in.
And that's very well done by Canada. It was a good lineout throw by Ray Barkwell. Very well secured by big Evan Olmstead. The box kick, it actually went to touch by scrum half McCrory. Canada can reset. They're getting their legs, they're getting the butterflies out, and it's off and running for Japan again. Big hit.
Rushing hit the center line. As Canada's defense looks strong early. A knock on for Japan. Canada with the turnover. Now some room. And for the first time, Canada able to penetrate into the Japanese half of the field.
Stay back, number one, stay back.
Yeah. Bahia.
Thank you.
Knocks it into touch, deep into Canadian territory, and Evans will hold for a lineup.
Matt Evans actually kicked that ball, which was returned by the Japanese. He had such a wonderful World Cup at fullback for the Canadians. Scored the big try against Italy. We want to see him get into the line today. And this is Lucas Rumble in this collision, the Queen's University student. He was on the captain of the under-20 program. He played terrifically well in the ARC series, was an all-star week in, week out. And I think he's one of the young players that Mark Anscombe may, in fact, hitch his wagon to moving forward to Japan 2019.
It was Poirier, Kaisuke Poirier on the play there, the hammer to Rumble's nail, if you will, at the center line. And now a line up for Japan after a kick goes awry for Canada. Tanaka gets things started. Poirier again carrying the ball right down the middle, engaging in contact. Japan swings it to the far line. Neither team able to carry past the 22 just yet, although Japan flirting with that as we speak.
Leave it.
Good defense again by Canada just outside the 22, and a turnover on some good D by Canada early here, Brian, as they continue to keep the ball in front of them.
Yeah, UBC's Brockstaller did a great job there, and we're early in the game, but Aaron Carpenter, 33 years old, is getting around the park. He's featuring at number 8 today. He's played hooker for Canada, plays professionally in England for the Cornish Pirates, but he's had a good start to this match. He took a nick at practice yesterday, but no ill effects. I like the way he's off and running.
Parfrey kicks it to touch downfield. Again, a little bit of
Stay in the line, please.
field for Canada. And they'll have their first touch of the ball in their own hands on the opposition side of half here. A line out again, courtesy of Barkwell. Dangerous throw, but successful nonetheless for Canada. A little bit of room there for Olmstead. He rumbles past the 10. Harris is hit hard after 2 quick steps. Canada content to chip away. And a nice run. Rumbling down is Rumble. Past Sears Duru now, past the 22. A great rumble by the number 7. And Canada with the first threat here, deep in Japanese territory. grinding away is Canada, pushing the ruck. And now swung out wide. Evans with the ball right down the middle. Canada still threatening just outside the try line. So here's Duru, tries to crash through. Swung out wide, and Harris on the line, he's in.
Time off. Time off.
And they're going to have a look at it.
It all started with the great inside move with Matt Evans hitting the line. Scrum half Gordon McCrory popped it over his left shoulder, and then a similar play to Taylor Paris, and it looks like he did score, but they're going to go upstairs.
Yeah, I want to check try yes or no.
Olmsted got things started with a strong run down the middle, and there were a couple of more to follow. And this one came out of nowhere for Lucas Rumble.
And in support was the front row player, Big Sears Duru, and they're winning the ball in contact. They're going forward, and the big play was when they put it back inside to Matt Evans. That looks like a good try to me from that angle. Taylor Paris, back from ACL surgery. He tore his knee up in the Ottawa game just before the World Cup last summer. Heartbreak for him. But the Barrie native looks like he's back in form.
Not looking shy at all in the early going. Here's another look at his go into the
Just wait, please.
Try line, and the ball does seem to touch down.
The only thing I think they could call him for is maybe a double movement. That looks like a good try.
Yeah, can we get any replay, please?
I know this frustrated a lot of fans. Sorry, Blake, during the Rugby World Cup, when they went to the TMO so frequently, this looks like a good try, and I think the on-field official, Mr. Salmi, should have called it, but he just wants to be sure.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a try.
And there we go, confirmation.
Try.
The try is good for Canada. They are on the board first.
That'd be great for Taylor Paris. So frustrated with that knee injury. He's worked so hard to get back to game fitness. And this is a big part of the game. Gordon McCrory taking over the kicking duties. We've been so accustomed in the past to James Pritchard. And I think in a game with an opponent like Japan, the kicking points are going to be the difference. I think it's going to be a close game and a very makeable convert for McCrory.
Pritchard, Hirayama, you've seen those two names kicking for Canada. McCrory now. A chance to stake Canada to, again, that quick start that we talked about. And it is no good for McCrory. Canada settles for 5 instead of the 7. And right away, a learning point for Canada here as they continue to get used to some new names in this lineup.
Disappointing missing that convert, but overall, 7 minutes in to score a great try. It's good for the nerves, it's good for the confidence, and it's really important the next few minutes Canada gets stuck in and gets the ball back in the Japanese end.
Tamura kicking things off for Japan. High kick just inside the 22. Harris takes over again. Felled as he crossed the line. Carpenter engaging, pushing forward a couple of meters before he's held up. McCrory dishes right. Canada tries again to chip away, and that's what slowly broke down the Japanese defense on the last run. A block, and quick to get back is Evans. Carries it across the try line, and a quick kick and a touch for Canada. A good play there to get them out of danger.
The Japanese are up very quick. The initial kick of the game, they partially blocked, paraphrase kick. They blocked McCrory's there. Canada has to sort that out very quickly.
The one time, of course, a touch like that will not be called a knock-on. It's on a block kick. Japan carries left. And so far, so good for Canada's defense. Very strong down the middle at the very least for the early going. The game just 9 minutes old. Canada on the board first, 5-0. Swinging right now is Japan, having a tough time against the giants of Canada, but Katakawa finds a little bit of room, and now Japan with possession inside the 22. Bennett crawls forward, releases now, and Inagaki carries down the middle.
Outside.
Offside called on Canada.
Number 1 red. Offside.
Sears Durer ahead of the play.
Not surprisingly, Blake, the Japanese ball in contact, their retention is excellent. And the Canadians have to be very sound at the breakdown to try and compete, to try and disrupt, but they cannot take penalties, especially in the field, in their own end at the 22-meter line, because they'll be punished for it.
And the Japanese will take this advantage to try to get on the board with a penalty just outside the 22.
Good. We're good.
Tamura in to kick.
Yep. We're fine.
And a makeable kick as he looks to impress
good.
Their new man in charge, of course, Mark Hammett. And this is where the missed 2 points, of course, starts to hurt, as it would have been almost equalized with the 3 here if Japan can get on the board. Tamura stares it down. It's up. And good for Japan. 5-3 now. Canada leads 11 minutes in.
And you mentioned Mark Hammett. He's actually the interim coach for Japan. Jamie Joseph will be taking over at the end of the summer. The former All Black, Mark Hammett, a New Zealander as well, played hooker for the All Blacks. And they're coming in post Eddie Jones. And very big shoes to fill. Eddie Jones has obviously moved on to England, and he led them to a victory today over Australia. The beat goes on for Eddie Jones.
Kicked in deep by Canada, and it is Horie that starts the Japanese just shy of the 22. Back up again. Kicked halfway to center line.
Step back there.
And there'll be a line out here. Ray Barkle calling for the ball as he wants to get things moving for Canada. And not bad field position here for Canada as they try to answer the 3 points
stay there,
of Japan.
Stay.
Nicely executed by Canada on the lineout. Levens got things started for Canada. Kicked ahead and a knock on there, and a turnover for Japan.
Knock on.
Canada gets a break just inside the 22.
Yep.
Let's see if they can take advantage.
And that's all a result of pressure. Canada chipped through, but the pressure was on, resulting in the turnover. We're almost 13 minutes in, first scrummage of the game. This will be a big point of the game.
Paia with the knock on for Japan.
We know they can't hold us.
As you mentioned, the first scrum, we'll see how Canada's execution. The lineouts have been fairly good today so far.
Crouch! Bind! Set! And now! Stay.
Filtering through, and Canada gets the benefit of the call there.
Second. Yep. Derek. Chase.
A reset of the scrum, and they'll try again.
Crouch!
Too far away. Not ear to ear. Sir.
Go close. Bind! Set!
McCrory places the ball in.
Body's out. Body's clear out.
Quick turnover out of the scrum. Japan able to come up with the ball.
Release red!
That was one of the hallmarks of the Eddie Jones era. Very good scrumming team was Japan, and they win the ball there. Some room on the outside for Matsushima. As he gains some valuable ground for Japan on the far side. Slowed down from the breakdown, a quick kick high into the Canadian half. Harris in the middle, can't find any room, now breaks to the outside. Errant pass, but Canada able to maintain control. Blevins cut down just outside of the 10. Canada still with the ball, chipped ahead again, and to touch.
Kick, straight, okay.
Certainly not the intention, as they tried to keep that inside the boundaries.
Give me a second.
Japan very quick on the outside, and just as impressive as the way they retained the ball. Okay. The Canadian backs were there trying to ruck over, but Japan would produce the ball and move the ball down the field. I thought the Canadian scrummage was very solid, but they know Japan's going to screw the scrum, which they did, and put a secondary push on, and Canada lost a very good opportunity from a great attacking position.
Izu starts the lineup for Japan. Dummy move there by Paea almost works, but again, Canada collapses into the middle, and Bailey is down for Canada. The referee checking on him while Japan carries out of the ruck. Bailey's still down. Trainer is out attending to Kyle Bailey. From Summerside PEI, he's being attended to, and does not look ready to jump up. Play continues now on the far side, though, as Japan gains some ground halfway to the 22. Strong side as they carry it the other way. Bailey is up and back into play. Just in time as Canada begins to push back to the 10 and wins the ball back. Looks like it was a facial injury for Bailey. He winces there and squeezes out the eye. Let's see if we can get a better look at it.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
There's the dummy play by Paea, and an elbow of Paea that seems to have caught the left eye of Bailey, but something we might see tomorrow, but no worse for wear today at the very least.
He won't have to go through the concussion protocol. He's fine, just took a knock. And the pride of Summerside PEI, first player from PEI to play on the national men's team. And he's very excited. Saw him yesterday at training, just beaming. And I think it's going to take more than a knock like that to get him out of this game.
Thank you.
A nice kick by Canada, gains some valuable ground just outside the 22. Barco will start the lineup for Canada. And a turnover.
Number in the line now, 7 against 6.
Bring it back. Canada wins the ball back.
Just for kick.
Japan didn't match the lineup. They had one more man in the lineup with the Canadians throwing the ball in. That's a half-arm penalty. The Canadians asked for a scrum. That's interesting tactics by Gordon McCrory. They're in a great attacking position, but they have to win the ball with a solid platform.
Scrum option. Come.
Yes, okay.
Come closer.
The last scrum did not go Canada's way. They'll try to make good this time around.
Yeah, scrum option is fine. Yeah. Numbers in the line now. Numbers.
Closing in on the halfway mark of this first half here. 5-3 Canada leads.
Crouch.
And on the verge of getting into dangerous territory for
set.
Japan. McCrory sets the ball in the scrum.
Use it now.
Retrieve, McCrory carries. Swings it wide, Parfrey. And Evans has some room. McCrory to Carpenter. No room yet. Parfrey, Stoller. McCrory to Olmsted. And the last time Canada was able to score a try, they did just this, chipped away as they approached the try line and eventually broke through. Here's Duru now with the confrontation there with Hatakeyama. Canada continues to gain ground, pushing through. Now swinging out to Evans. Both sides trying to remain onside. Canada pushes towards that try line. McCrory to Evans, or pardon me, to Stoller. Edging closer, the ball pushed through.
Yeah, one is outside.
Sears Durer at the bottom of the pile. The ball now escaping. And now one push away for Canada.
Offside.
Offside call.
Offside.
Canada will maintain possession though. McCrory on the quick start almost gets in himself.
Release!
You can hear the collisions as they battle for position down low.
Player one is outside.
And Canada is in.
Try.
Ray Barkle at the bottom of the pile comes away with Canada's second try in the opening 20 minutes. It's 10-3.
Terrific stuff by Canada. Just kept hammering away, grinding the Japanese down. And Ray Barkwell, played professionally in California. What a great try. Another player who had a terrific World Cup for Canada. He squirrels his way over, makeable convert. The Canadians in the first quarter have been terrific.
Grinding away, you heard with the fabulous work of the microphones, just the body contact as they approach the line.
Yep.
Taking the punishment to get the points.
Yep.
And now a second opportunity at a conversion for Canada, which would make the margin 9 points.
Next stop.
On a better angle this time around for McCrory. Lines it up, eyes the posts. And this one is good for McCrory. 12-3, Canada leads.
We haven't seen Canada for a while, excuse me, Blake, we haven't seen Canada for a while play with a lot of confidence and swagger. And hopefully based on that first 20 minutes, the infusion of young players, obviously we talked about the coaching change, it's almost like a new culture. They seem to be so confident. And when they're hammering away, they're winning the ball in contact. I like the way they went back and got set up for the kickoff right away. But they have to keep it up. We've seen them disappoint before in the waning minutes of games. They're a quarter of the way through. So far, mission accomplished.
Yu Tamura to kick off for Japan. And McCrory returns with a nice kick. And opts against the quick throw as Canada gets downfield with coverage, forcing the line out for Japan. And Canada's done very well down the middle, haven't they, Brian? Moving the ball, using the small game to gain just those little bits of ground, rather than needing the big play so far.
It sounds very simple, but they want Japan to earn whatever they get. They don't want to make mistakes that turn into points. And so far, their tackling's been good. Their ball in contact's been good. I think their imagination's been good. McCrory's had a nice game at halfback. And so far, so good.
And a turnover on the line out. Quickly, Carpenter takes over. Battles for position in the middle of the field again. McCrory to Parfrey. Out wide. Stoller held up. Canada loses a little bit of ground, but now Sears Durer engages in contact, drags his man, and gains more ground for Canada. McCrory, Evans takes a hit and some room on the outside. Fabulous run there as Canada. Dan Moore, we see his speed for the first time this evening.
Easy. No.
Another Queens player, Queens University. Dan Moore had a great ARC tournament. He hasn't seen much ball in the first 25 minutes of this game, but that was crunching run.
Staller, pardon me, on the right side. It was Staller, but you'll see both of their speed on display here today. Canada will engage now in the scrum. In good field position once more. And wouldn't this be something to get another try?
Crouch! Bind! Set! Stay.
Japan sets the ball in. Clean exit from the scrum. Tatakawa runs into a Canadian crowd. And Japan content to relieve some pressure and kick the ball downfield just across the center line.
Good pressure off the Canadian scrum. Lucas Rumble tackled Tanaka, and Japan cleared the ball, but that's good work by the Canadians again. We talked about the set piece. The lineout's been good. Here's another opportunity to secure a ball and make some territory.
Each side has been able to create turnovers off of the lineouts. Canada will hope to avoid that pattern here. So a lot of jockeying on the last lineup. Same thing here. Nicely executed by Canada.
He's through the middle, he's fine.
Out of the maul.
He's through the middle, he's fine.
Extracting, there it comes out to McCrory.
Ball is back.
Errant pass, but stays behind Team Canada.
Release blue now!
McCrory guiding traffic there as he now clears the ball.
Don't do that. Obstruction, clear obstruction.
An offside
Clear obstruction.
call.
He's called the Canadians for obstruction.
What's that call, Mike?
Don't make a wall. Don't do that. Clear obstruction.
You hear the fabulous instruction there from Federico Anselmi, the referee today from Argentina. Rugby, in my opinion, far ahead of many sports in this world. With the help of the referee during the course of play, they'll blow the whistle at last resort. Keep play going here.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. And
You understand what you mean?
Communication with the referee.
All the players that stay
and you
there,
want the referee
they
to
can't do
be
that.
what's called a player's referee. And at this level, the players know that if they infringe, they're going to get called. But usually the referee will give them the benefit of the doubt, tell them to get back on side, leave the ball alone.
Another turnover off a lineout. Canada jumps onto the ball. And over the rock. A lot of ground gained there.
Leave it.
McCrory digs it out, and a quick kick to the line, but a quick throw in by Japan. And they're going to cancel that as he was not fully out of bounds.
Yes.
Bringing it back for a lineup, and Bark will take that for Canada on the turnover.
Tempo, 16.
There's Mark Hammett, the interim man in charge here for Japan. Watching as he's maybe surprised at this early 12-3 lead for Canada. They possess the ball again.
Play on.
To balance up possession. Nice grab by Paella. Down this interior line. Japan able to push it into the Canadian end. Nagaki taken down. Swung out wide. Sasakura, or pardon me, Tatakawa with the ball. And on the far side, Japan gains its first big run of the day. A fabulous charge down the far line by Sasakura, the winger who maybe had the biggest run of the day so far on both sides.
Yes.
And it all started on the other side. Paella securing that ball. They spread the ball left. Very interesting that Canada are throwing to Jamie Cudmore so much. The 37 years young captain, he had concussion problems this year in Clermont. He has signed a new contract with Oyonnax in France, a 4-year deal. which will take him into coaching. He's applied his trade in France for many years, and as we said off the top, he is so excited and delighted to be leading this Canadian squad. He jumped in the World Cup for Tyler Ardron when he was injured, but Jamie Cudmore, he's a mountain of a man, and he's got a big heart.
Absolutely cut.
His strength is one thing, but his agility, for a man his size, the way he takes care of his body is really phenomenal. And as I said, at 37 years of age, just signed a 4-year professional contract, which will probably take him into coaching.
Two Canadians taking a knee there for a moment. Here's Duru and Evan Olmsted, but both back up to their feet for this lineup for Canada. And there's Olmsted
in the air,
gathering. And Japan engaging in the air. Canada takes over just inside their 22.
And that's great stuff by Canada. They had secured the ball, a penalty to Japan. Canada can relieve this pressure and get reorganized. Olmsted's had a good half. Nice story. He met Jamie Cudmore as a youngster at the 2003 Australia World Cup, and now they're playing second row together. And Evan Olmsted's got a big career ahead of him.
And both locks have touched the ball a fair amount. You mentioned Cudmore. Olmsted's had the ball in his hand a lot,
Sears
too.
Duru, I mean, you know, try and tackle him. He's been running roughshod into the Japanese backline.
Barkle on the center line now to get things started again for Canada. They gained some ground on the kick. The lineout's getting progressively better here for Canada. I don't jinx it. And McCrory dishes left to get things started, although a turnover there and some room now as Ando has some room all the way down to the Canadian 22. There's their first big play of the day, and it's courtesy of Japan. And on the far side, more ground gained by Team Japan. Just to touch now, Canada creates a turnover on the far line.
And it all started positively off the line-out win. Nick Blevins crashed the ball, and he had his pocket picked, and Japan were off and running.
Stay back.
Nick Blevins has to secure that ball. He has to do better than that. Ando pickpocketed him. He did not have the support. The red shirts were there in numbers, and Canada are very fortunate to have another chance. That didn't go between the sticks, but now they're on their heels with the Japanese line out at their 7-meter line.
Some good emergency defense, nevertheless, for Canada as they had to rush back to stop the Ando run. And now on their heels near the try line for the first time today. And the true test of Canada's defense.
And here comes the driving maul. Canada has to get low. They have to defend this. Japanese have numbers in.
Kizu has it at the back end of the maul right now. Held up, Olmsted on top, trying to wrestle the ball loose.
It's actually good defense by Canada. Lucas Rembel's at the bottom of that. Big Evan Olmsted's at the bottom of that. Be interesting to see what the Japanese do. They're down 12-3. They could take a penalty. They can run a penalty. They can kick for a lineout. They can take a scrum. I think they're going to take their chances with another lineout here, Blake.
Time.
Chance to put points on the board, but they will look for the try instead here with time winding down in this first half. Now under 8 minutes remaining. And Canada with another good start. Quick line up. And into a maul again. They'll try to drive their way to the try line. Cudmore creating havoc there. Olmsted reaching back, but Kizu continues to carry for Japan. And there goes the driving maul. Japan pushes their way towards the line, looking dangerous for Canada. Atakeyama trying to get the ball loose for Tanaka, who has it now and starts Japan the other way. A kick towards the Canadian line, wrestled free by Evans.
But the referee was playing advantage. It was well taken by Evans. The referee was taking advantage. When the Japanese were driving for the line, there were Canadian bodies offside. He might even speak to someone about a yellow card. He's going to talk to Captain Jamie Cudmore. This is exactly what happened to Jamie Cudmore in the World Cup game against Ireland, the same position in the field, and in the 10 minutes he was off, Ireland hammered Canada. I think there's having a discussion. It's not going to be a yellow card. but he is warning the Canadians, you cannot impede the driving maul.
That's it.
And it was Cudmore that sort of popped out of nowhere in that maul. And Olmsted sort of crashed through as well. But Japan desperate for the 7 points near the end of this half will continue to choose the line out and look for the score rather than take the penalty.
And based on what's unfolded in the last 3 or 4 minutes, the referee will almost be looking to penalize Canada now if they impede the driving maul.
Japan just goes back to their bread and butter here. Kizu again, crouched down low.
Same maul, same maul.
The maul continues towards the Canadian line, and Japan is in.
Try.
Kizu, it appears, was able to maintain possession all the way across the try line, and Japan is on the board with their first try of the day. It's 12-8.
It was just a matter of time with the pressure they had on the Canadians. There were 3 lineouts, and every one they drove the ball after securing it. Canada couldn't stop them, and they crash over. 12-8, convert to follow.
Well, some people might be of the mind, if the points are there via the penalty, take them, but Mark Hammett's gamble pays off, and Japan is able to crash through for the try. A difficult conversion kick here to come, though, based on the angle that they scored that try. Tamura will be tested. And if the conversion is good, all of a sudden a much tighter game than was on the scoreboard just a moment ago.
Kizu, like so many of these Japanese players, plays for the Sunwolves, who Mark Hammett coaches. He also has 41 caps for Japan. This is a very formidable front row for the Japanese, and they have been rewarded for their hard work with that great try.
The kick is up, and it's in. 12-10 now. Canada leads. Far too early to be predicting the doom and gloom of these Canadian collapses. Still over 40 minutes of rugby left, but the Canadian start that they, I'm sure, would love to get some momentum before the end of the half here.
Absolutely. This is a big 4.5 minutes for Canada to try and take control of the game again, get back in the Japanese end. Points would be a bonus, but just play solid rugby for 4 or 5 minutes.
Rather shallow kick for Canada. Bahia carries. Collision just outside the 22. Japan will clear.
Stay number 6.
With a kick that stays inside the lines. And Carpenter, with some room, again engages right at the center line of the big hit. McCrory swinging wide. Evans, a high kick. Caught by Japan. As Tamura holds, and Japan trying to gain some ground downfield. On the fly, though. Good play by Evans onto the right side. McCrory out of the ruck. Nice run by Carpenter again, straight up the middle to gain some ground. Parfrey chips it ahead, but right into the waiting hands of Tamura. Sasakura with a dummy play that gets him to the center line, but no further. And Japan trying to find some open space on the near line. Nearly a turnover as Parfrey tried to jump on a ball.
Use it, please.
Retreats now as
Use it.
Canada gets set up in their line of defense. Good coverage by Canada on the far side. Down to 2.5 minutes remaining here in this first half at BC Place Stadium. 12-10, Canada leads. Olmsted gathers. Stoller dishes off, and a bit of room for Parfrey, but not enough. McCrory to big Jamie Cudmore, but
leave it now, Lou.
he's held up in the middle of the field. Canada running out of time here. A drop ball, and they will call it a knock-on for Canada, and it's a turnover halfway to the try line.
Canadians trying to be positive, trying to spread the ball. They have to be careful in the last couple minutes. They don't give the Japanese a freebie here.
Time off.
Boys are a little bit tired. They've had a good half. They'll do well to get out of the half up 12-10, 2 tries to 1. Regroup, reset. Big second half to come.
I told the same with the number 9.
Japanese player down.
Makes sense? Totally. Yeah. If they make the ball slow, I understand.
Hatakeyama getting some attention.
Right. True. Okay. Thank you.
Just
the physical play in the middle of the field has been tremendous for both sides.
Yeah, a lot of big hits out there. The tackles are being made by both sides. Mark Hamps will be happy with that. He had a couple of breakdowns early, which I'm sure he's going to try and sort at halftime.
Hold the marker, please. Thanks.
And Hatakeyama now at least in a sitting position.
Let's go. Come on.
And the referee implores them to get him to his feet with under 2 minutes remaining here in the half.
I spoke the same with the number 9 from Japan.
A little bit of a high engagement there in the ruck.
Nick Blevins got called for that actually in the Rugby World Cup. They were very strict with that type of call. Looks like he's going to be okay today. But any type of arm wrenching around an opposition player's neck is usually going to be punished.
Certainly in an upright position, but even down on the ground as well. Canada lucky to
come close, please.
Avoid the sin bin perhaps there. Down into a scrum. Again, halfway to the Canadian try line. Japan will control, but running out of time here in this first half.
Point. Set. You said.
Scrum nearly collapses for Japan, but they keep it upright and move the ball to Matsushima, who took a few steps before he's taken down. Hatakeyama, the injured player, with the ball momentarily. Poirier gets things started. Canada's defense doing well to keep the Japan team to the outside of the 22. We're finally gaining some valuable ground. Sasakura to Tatakawa. Nagaki rumbles a little further. Down to 30 seconds remaining in this first half. Bennett's held up. Is Canada's defense desperate to hold on to this lead? Finally, some penetration there by Tatakawa. Gains some ground. Japan chips away. Looking dangerous here late in this first half.
Roll. Number 5. Roll.
He's telling Evan Olmstead, the referee's telling Evan Olmstead he's supposed to roll away from the tackle. He was pinned. Always a judgmental call. It went against Canada. And unlike earlier, they will kick the points. The Japanese will try and take the lead into the half. The last few minutes a bit disappointing for Canada after a pretty good half of rugby on their part. And they will have to regroup.
Well, consistent runs, something that wasn't happening in the opening 25 minutes. You know, the 10-yard runs were there for Japan here in the last 15 minutes of play. And once again, a Japanese player is getting some attention. Fumiyaki Tanaka.
Very popular player around the world. Often seen playing with a smile on his face, which is hard to believe at this level. Popular amongst his teammates and the opposition players. Was wonderful in the World Cup. What a day in Brighton in 2015, October, when this Japanese side did the unthinkable. And they slayed the Dragon, beating South Africa 34-32 in injury time. What a win.
Tamura now staring down the lead. The kick is up. And good. And that is the end of this first half, as Japan, with a strong flurry of points to end that first half of action. 13-12, Japan leads Canada.
Canada led for the entire half until that Japanese penalty. They'll be disappointed in the last 4 or 5 minutes, but overall 2 tries to 1, a lot to build on for the second half.
Strong play down the middle of the field, especially in the early going for Canada. They chipped away to gain some valuable acreage and push the Japanese to the line. They'll be happy with that strong play. They didn't have a lot of runs. What we saw from Japan in the final 15 minutes, getting free and finding some big plays. Canada will do their best to find that ground in the second half. But a 1-point deficit now after the last second penalty for Japan. Something to build on, though, in this first game of this summer series for Rugby Canada. Canada trotting out for this second half versus Japan. Just a 1-point deficit to start the second half at BC Place Stadium. Blake Price, Brian Spanton, joined by the rock star of the last World Cup for Canada, the man with 39 caps, DTH Van der Merwe, joins us here to help get the second half started. We're so pleased you can join us and talk over some of the action with us, but you do so not in uniform because of well, some health issues at the end of your regular season.
Yeah, unfortunately, after a long season, after the World Cup, and then playing with my new club, my shoulders didn't hang in there, and I had to get them fixed.
And how does it feel so far?
It's tough. I had my left side done about 7 weeks ago, and then the right side done 3 weeks ago. So I'm slowly getting through the recovery stages of things, and with two little kids. It's a little bit tough at home sometimes.
I bet. How long do you think before you're going to be engaging in a tackle?
Both recovery is 3 months, so 4 months time overall.
As we are quickly underway here in the second half.
DTH, you did talk about your new club. How was the transition from many years in Glasgow down to Llanelli, Wales with the Scarlets?
Yeah, it was it was a little bit of a mixed bag because you get so used to playing with the same guys every week for 6 years, like you said. So it took a little while to get used to, knowing each player, what their, tactics are, what they want to do, the way they play. Do they, pass a lot? Do they kick a lot? All those little things. So although I did, cross over the whitewash a few times in my first 2 games, it was a little bit of an adjustment from Glasgow days.
Kick to touch for Japan. They'll move the ball downfield a little bit. What did you think of that first half? A lot of new names out there, yet they seem to fare pretty well, DTH.
Yeah, I was hoping you don't ask me about the new guys because I don't know too many of them. But no, it's exciting to see, new faces and, just the old heads like Cudmore and Barkwell and Carpenter, and Matt at the back. And, great to see Taylor back. And so, yeah, it's good to see there's a new breed of young guys coming through. And, hopefully they can push on the second half.
You mentioned Matt at the back. I thought Matt Evans, like yourself, had a wonderful World Cup. He's just dying to get some more ball. He doesn't want to tackle. He wants to run. He will make his tackles. But this Canadian backline, I think, can have a go at Japan if they win the ball in the right circumstance.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like you say, Matt's a very good running, fullback, but he can also play at 10. So you see him a lot in the game, get involved at 10 and just always being, putting ball through. And then obviously you have Taylor on the wing, who's electric, scoring the first try of the game. So it's exciting group of guys. Everyone's still young, so the future is bright for Rugby Canada.
And just as we were talking to Gareth Rees a few moments ago, several of your teammates heading to Monaco for the repassage. Very big times ahead for Canada. A lot of pressure on the boys. They've underachieved a wee bit, and I know they want to get the job done next weekend, but it's not going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a tough tournament for them. But those guys are used to playing in big games, like they did here at BC Place, and then also in Toronto for the Pan Am Games that year, and also the time before. So they're used to it. They can handle pressure, and it's the thing is about Simmons is it doesn't matter what they've done all season long. This is a new tournament, and they'll be firing. It's the biggest tournament of their lives, and it'd be a great honor for each one of them to play in the Olympics. So I'm sure they'll be doing their best.
Turnover for Canada as they get a little bit of room on the far side, and kicked ahead. A chance to gain possession again, just inside the 22 as the bodies fly on the far line. A fast surface. This is the first international test match here at BC Place Stadium. What's your opinion of playing on this sort of a surface? And nice run here again, chipped ahead by Harris, nearly able to get onto it, and a great run there by Canada to get the ball in deep. Harris pushing the envelope there near the try line.
Yeah, it's something to get used to. You know, there's a couple teams. Well, actually, no. Cardiff Blues at the moment in my league that plays on this type of turf. And my old team Glasgow is actually putting in a turf right now. So it's obviously well tested. Some guys like it, some guys don't like it. But for myself, I love it because it's fast. Like you see there, you know, guys like Taylor can really rip around and go get it. You know,
a place like this keeps you dry too.
Exactly. It's great playing under the roof. Yeah.
Was that track in Leeds fast enough for you when you scored that 80-meter try?
Well,
pretty quick.
I was burning up after that. Yeah, that's for sure.
Canada in deep. And McCrory.
Fine. Set
to put the ball in for the Canadian scrum.
Stay 9. No.
Canada knows Japan's going to try and wheel them here. They're trying to keep it straight, but this is a super opportunity for the Canadians to put their stamp back on this game.
And the ball is there,
great attacking position. They need a big scrummage here. They need a play on, and they need to get back in the lead quickly.
Yeah, I think there's obviously the new rules have just come out, so I think that scrum obviously went 90, but in the back of the last year that would have been a turnover. But now, Japan want to wheel them to maybe disrupt it, but Canada's going to get the ball back every time, I think, at the moment, unless it's a penalty. So it's good.
Do you like the change?
Yeah, definitely.
Means more ball in the hands of the backs for the attacking team.
And Canada breaks through! Right on the line. McCrory is there with his hands on the ball. Canada tries to punch it through. Barkle at the back of the ruck now. Cudmore is in! No signal yet from the referee. There it is.
Captain Cudmore.
And the big men continue the pattern here at BC Place Stadium. Canada's third try of the day. They leap out in front again at 17-13.
I thought Aaron Carpenter furrowed his way over like he did against France in the Rugby World Cup. He was held up. I thought that the Japanese were there in numbers. The Canadian boys recycled it. And Jamie Cudmore, he's going to be delighted with this. That's Carpenter, so close.
Derek, what do you get from the last scrum?
Takes it from Barkwell and scoots in across the line.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We have the same picture.
You're taking your job away from you, DTH, with these big men scoring.
I know Gareth was saying there, like, you'd like to see the forwards play a little bit more of a pick and go kind of game right now. I don't want to see that. But yeah, who's going to stop Jamie Cudmore from a meter out? So
he's a wonder, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a specimen. What a specimen.
My son said to me this week, he goes, Dad, you like Jamie Cudmore? And I said, well, of course I do. And he goes, are you afraid of him? And I go, he's always been nice to me.
Yeah, you have to like him.
That's right.
McCrory 1 for 2 with his kicks today. With some pressure, goes 1 for 3 on the day. Another 2 points off the board for Canada potentially, 17-13. A try away now for Japan to retake the lead.
So I have to ask you, DTH, on behalf of Canadian rugby fans coast to coast, it's early days, but your goal would be to play in Japan 2019?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not at the age of Jamie yet, but I'm sure he'll be pushing on for that as well. But no, definitely, I want to keep playing for Canada as long as I can. This is what made me to go overseas. Playing for Canada is what gave me the opportunity to play overseas, and I'm just going to keep playing as long as I can. I'm enjoying it.
How much of an impression have you been able to get of Mark Anscombe?
Not much, really. I've not met him yet, but all I've heard from the boys in camp is that they work really hard. I think they had 4 sessions on some of the days, which is pretty tough. But at the moment it's paying off because we're up in the scoreboard, and hopefully we just keep pushing on, and the boys are fit and well for the second half.
Saito with a bit of room to the 22 of Canada. Japan quick to keep the ball moving.
Leave it.
Shigeno gets things started for Japan. One of the 2 second half substitutes we should mention, as Kaito Shigeno is into the game for Tanaka. And you'll see number 20 as well. Takue Kim draws in, replacing Ando, a flanker for Japan. Driving forward across the 22.
Safe.
Quick move, one step by Tatekawa, gains him some ground. Shigeno picks it loose for Japan. Ball back into the middle as they grind away. Atakeyama taken down. Out of the far side, Japan had some success gaining ground on the wings late in the first half. Kentucky is felled. Incremental progress here for Japan. A good tackle there. Just outside the 22. Haida escapes the hit but got the ball away in time, and now Japan enters in scoring range. A nice steal, but a knock on there by Evan Olmsted. Gives the ball back to Japan. DTH, you're getting awfully close. I think people are excited to see you back in action. The next opportunity, we mentioned the World Cup as a long distance opportunity to get back in red. When do you think you'll be back wearing national team colors, just even in a test match?
Well, I'm hoping for November. Obviously, you know, I want to get it back as soon as possible. But obviously, there's a lot of young guys pushing. You know, Dan Moore, he played well in that. Is it the ARC or?
Yes.
I watched him play there, so that's really good. Taylor's obviously electric. So no, you know, if they need me, I'd love to play in November again. New coach, new setup, you know. So I'm just going to work hard this season. Get back to playing rugby again for the Scarlets, and then hopefully back.
I'm sure that excites Canadian rugby fans to hear that news. Thanks so much for stopping by, DTH. Best of luck in your rehab, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
DTH van der Merwe, 39 caps in a Canadian uniform, and that close to coming back to wearing the maple leaf. And boy, is he the rock star for Canada right now.
What a World Cup. He turned so many heads. That try in Leeds that him and Kieran Hearn orchestrated. Ray Bartwell was running hard in support when Canada had Italy on the ropes, and they just couldn't put them down with a knockout punch. But no question, DTH van der Merwe was the best Canadian in the Rugby World Cup.
He was a darling worldwide, even.
Absolutely. And the Scarlets had signed him before the World Cup. If they had not, and he was available, there would have been a queue to sign him.
Stay.
10 minutes into this second half, Canada with the only score, a try, but Japan looking dangerous here. Crossing deep into Canadian territory now. A loose ball is there. Shigeno with the turnover.
Number 8, top.
And Canada turns the ball back over.
Pat Parfrey's had a quiet game at number 10. He hasn't gotten much ball, but he just had to make a one-up tackle, and he was there in spades, took a big hit, and Aaron Carpenter's been given a yellow card. And this will hurt Canada. This could be the longest 10 minutes in sports. Canada felt that against Ireland in the Rugby World Cup when Jamie Cudmore was given a 10-minute sin bin. And Carpenter, who I think has had a very good game, is coming off, and this will be tough times ahead for Canada.
And a chance for points here for Japan. Just a little chip shot to put 3 points on the board. Not enough to take the lead, obviously, but their first score of the second half, nonetheless, as Tamor lines it up. A perfect day so far through the air for him. That one is an easy one for Tamura. As Japan heads back for the kick, and Carpenter takes his spot in the sin bin for the next 10 minutes for Canada. Looking awfully lonely, as you mentioned, and now the defense of Canada will surely be tested, taking them to pass the 60-minute mark of this contest here at BC Place Stadium.
There has been a lot of proactive criticism about yellow cards in rugby. If a team scores a try, should the player come back on? Maybe it should be 8 minutes. It really can change a game. And unfortunately, Canada has been on the receiving end of that. We saw it in the PNC last summer, and we did see it in the Rugby World Cup. But as you said, Jamie Cudmore has to get the Canadian players together, and they have to stiffen for 10 minutes, get through this, go into the last quarter, with a big push.
Here is the Carpenter infraction as he heads to the ground and plays the ball while prone. Didn't get to his feet before reaching up for that ball.
It was a professional foul and probably impeded Japan from having a go in the corner and possibly scoring. It was probably the right call, as much as Canadian fans don't want to see that. And there were no gripes by Aaron as he wandered off the field.
A lot of other sports we call some things good penalties. Is that a good penalty, or is that still?
I don't know if Japan for sure were going to score, and leaving your team short for 10 minutes. There can always be very difficult consequences. It's almost a reactionary thing. The ball's there, as experienced as Aaron Carpenter is. He reached a hand out, the referee called it.
Some room for Matsushima, and off to Sasakura with a couple of moves deep into Canadian territory. And you see the holes now with Canada down a man.
Release!
Tamura pushing forward. Shigeno will start it for Japan the other way. Kizu rumbles into the middle. And now, again, some space for Tamura right down to the Canadian line. Canada set to make a substitution, but first trying to prevent the try. And that is prevented for the time being at the very least.
Time off. Time off.
He may be calling a
Japanese foul.
Do you have a flag? Time is off.
He's having a word with the line official, his assistant referee.
The end of that situation, blue 6 in with the shoulder, I believe, into at least the upper body, if not the head of a red player in the ruck.
Yeah.
I think we need to check if possible.
So the picture that you have is number 6, shoulder, illegal shoulder.
Into a player in the ruck.
Okay, the picture that you have, is a penalty only, or we need to check?
We need to check.
Okay, perfect. TMO, David, can you hear me? Okay, we need to check in the ruck situation, in the last. Okay, we heard it.
And we see a good look there of the infraction that we are suspicious of. Hosoda,
so if you can give me
hard into the ruck.
Replay, please.
And I think Yoshida Hosoda may end up.
Oh, a violent collision there with McCrory.
That's going to be at least yellow.
That is
please give me
quite violent in the ruck there for the Canadian on the receiving end.
Can you give me another angle, please?
The players watching it on the big replay screen here. McCrory not impeding the play, totally defenseless.
Okay, now
that will be at least a yellow card.
There's the best look of it there. And
thank you. I have the decision.
Lord McCrory.
This is a illegal shoulder charge, and go now. And make contact in the head. I'm going for a red card. Are you agree, David?
Wow, a red card in the offing for Yoshida Hosoda.
Okay, perfect. I have the decision. Thank you very much. Cut time. And number 6.
He calls the
And
offending
the cut
player
time,
over.
please. We play advantage for Japan for no clear release, but after that we have a clear shoulder charge, make contact in the head. This is really dangerous. This is a red card.
Red card?
Yeah.
The crowd responds as Japan goes down to 14 men the rest of the way.
And that was the right call. Gordon McCrory was not impeding the play. He was totally defenseless, and he was viciously hit with a shoulder charge to the head. It's the right call by the referee.
What a collision. And here is the best / most frightening look at it. And McCrory does not seem any worse for wear. The trainers did go out to attend to him. Play continues, and Canada gains some ground. Barpo with the line out forthcoming. Carpenter remains in the sin bin for Canada, so it is each team down a man. We do have a substitution coming up here for Canada.
Yeah, he's coming.
We see Matt Heaton.
We are outside.
coming into the game for Canada.
We are outside of 22.
He's coming in for Lucas Rumble, who looks like he's a little worse for wear himself.
Outside of
Heaton has a great work rate.
Come on.
Rumble provided Canada with solid minutes for 54 minutes, and the fresh troops will start to roll in now.
Change of flanker for Canada.
Stay back, please.
And again, even at 14 men apiece,
Stay back.
for about 6 more minutes until Aaron Carpenter is able to return to action or a substitution in his stead.
Touch.
A kick to touch. Barco will continue to inch Canada further downfield with another lineup.
You don't see too many red cards in the game anymore because of the television match officials. However, halfway around the world, Ireland beat South Africa today 14-15. They had a man sent off in the first half and somehow managed to upset the Springboks in South Africa. Canada will have a massive advantage for the last quarter of this game, but they still have to do the hard work and take it home.
Successful lineup for Canada. Pushing forward with Sears Duru, helping to drive Canada. Some serious ground gain here. McCrory takes it out, and a touch pass doesn't quite find the hands of Dan Moore.
But the referee was playing advantage that the maul was pulled down. Canada has a decision to make. I'm sure they'll put the ball down the quarter, reset. Their lineout's been very sound. This is an opportunity for Canada to take this game by the throat, move ahead, play in the Japanese end, wear them down. And we've heard so much about Stoller's boot at UBC and how he makes them from halfway very regularly. See an attempt just from inside the halfway mark.
Of the kicks so far for Canada, but as you mentioned, when they're from this distance, it goes to Brock Stoller. And wouldn't this get the crowd going here? From the half line to restore that 4-point lead they had moments ago. The kick is up and will not have the length. And Japan content to clear, but not to touch. So Canada able to continue with some momentum, and Matt Evans has got some room. Takes advantage of it. Takes down his man. To Sears Duru, who's hit hard just inside the 10, but then gains a ton more ground, just pushing forward with that strength and power. Good play by Canada. Again, those incremental gains have been going their way all day long.
As strong as Sears Duru is up top, it's his hips and legs. They cannot tackle him. If they're going to tackle him high, the Japanese are going to have fits. He's going to just keep driving them back. They've been awarded a penalty. This one much more makeable, and McCrory's going to take a shot.
McCrory stretches things out. Tees up the ball, and better look at the way Sears Duru is able to gain ground down the middle.
Number 5.
And also a part of this is his athleticism to maintain and produce the ball. He's not running with reckless abandon. He's had a very good game.
5 Japanese shirts around him to take him down. Second kick in just a couple of minutes for Canada. And McCrory's kick is up. And pulled.
22.
So not a good day kicking for Canada thus far.
2 missed penalties, 2 converts, 10 points Canada's left on the board. The kick from midfield, a very difficult kick by Stoller, but these points could come back to haunt Canada as we approach the 4th quarter.
Canada with the distinct advantage, of course, with the recent red card for Japan. But those points on the board looking ominous, certainly. As Canada carries towards the line, Bailey is taken down at half. Cudmore keeps. And Canada tries the far side. A minute till Canada returns to full strength, and perhaps then we'll see some forays deep for Canada. 14 on 14 as we speak right now.
Step up. You said, please.
Stuck on the 22. Partial block of the kick for Canada. Puts it high in the air, and Evans comes up with it. He's got some room, chips it ahead. Can Canada win the race down towards the Japanese try line? They're hemmed in deep, and a good clear by Japan to relieve the pressure. And the first foray with some green in front of a Canadian winger all day.
Aaron Carpenter's back on. We talked with DTH Van de Merwe about Matt Evans. He just wants the ball going forward. Bravely goes up and takes that, chips through, has the Japanese under pressure. They have no choice but to chip it off.
You talked about the athleticism of Sears Durer. Keeping pace with Matt Evans down the field as they chase down the loose ball.
Captain.
We mentioned the Glasgow Warriors. Van der Merwe's former team, that's where Sears Durer is playing. Gregor Townsend is delighted with his progress. He went over mid-season but re-upped for next fall, and he will only get better playing in Glasgow.
And another substitution for Canada as Parfrey takes a seat for the day, and Jamie McKenzie is out now for Canada. And Jamie Cudmore, the behemoth, the captain for Canada, takes a seat as well as Paul Cellini comes on for Canada. High kick at half, flirting with the big screen here above the turf at BC Place Stadium. Again, we should remind you, Canada back with the advantage, 15-14 now. Full strength for Canada, the red card for Japan.
Great seeing Matsushima bravely take that high ball for the Japanese. We were so used to seeing Goromuru in the Rugby World Cup, one of the best players in the tournament. He went on to a season with the Queensland Reds and now is going to go to France and play. He is not on this touring side, but this Japanese team have a wealth of explosive players in the backs.
Come on, let's go. Let's go to play.
Scrum for Canada, just over the half line.
I've always liked Jamie McKenzie's game. He plays a simple game. He's athletic, very good passer of the ball. And that's the biggest job, obviously, a number 9 has. But he's not too flashy, very reliable, great service. And McCrory did take that knock earlier. That may have impacted the choice to get him off the park.
One half of the McKenzie clan, of course, that is part of the Rugby Canada program. Brother Phil taking some time off, a reduced schedule at the very least, part of the Pro Rugby series down in the United States.
And that's a good point. A lot of these players have a lot of miles on them. Right after the World Cup, a lot of them went right into professional seasons. The seasons in Europe are ending right now. A lot of these players don't get much of a break anymore. And it's a very physical, demanding game. And Phil McKenzie has just chosen to take a bit of a break, still playing professionally in San Diego.
And Captain Jamie Cudmore off the field. The de facto captain now on the field is Aaron Carpenter, the number 8.
Crouch!
Who's at the back of this scrum, ready to start the play for Canada.
Set! Stay. Stay.
McKenzie lurking as well, looking for the play to create the turnover. Kick deep by Japan. Evans is back for it, takes it cleanly on the catch. Runs with it and then returns fire downfield. Matsushima for Japan. To Tamura, a nice kick downfield to touch. And we could see some more defensive play by Japan, trying to keep this score close. It is just a 1-point game. They only need a little luck here, down a man the rest of the way. Barkwell in for the lineout for Canada. Yet to take advantage of the additional man.
Please.
Yes.
As we approach the 65-minute mark of this contest. Swung wide by Canada. To the far side, Moore gets stopped in his tracks. Sasakur with the hard hit on Moore. Barkwell engages as he gets the ball. McKenzie to Sears Duru, who punches through. What a run by Sears Duru. He's been a hero so far for Canada down the middle. McCrory, nowhere to go. Over the ruck, Sears Duru. Gains a little ground for Canada. Grinding away through the middle of the pitch now.
Leave it now!
Halfway to the 22 line. A couple more meters for Canada. Pushing and grinding their way down, but
Neck roll.
Japan takes over.
Neck roll. Neck roll. Number 5.
And a quick kick by Japan, just out beyond the reach of Dan Moore, who tried to keep it going for Canada.
Bring it on, please. Bring it on.
Again, the defensive play of Japan continues here, down a man the rest of the way.
Substitution for Canada. Number 6, Kyle Bailey is off. Enter number 21, Alistair.
The latest substitution for Canada is Alistair Clark comes in for Kyle Bailey. Japan as deep as they've been since going down a man.
Release red!
Gaki, the big front line. Prop carries the ball. Now Japan went strong side before cutting back into the middle with Tatakawa carrying. Knock on there. Canada will play an advantage. Here's Duru. Behind the back flip.
Knock on. First one.
Maybe he's throwing his hand up to Liam Middleton that he's available for Monaco
Time
from
off.
the sevens.
It was that kind of play, you're right.
His athleticism is outstanding for a man of his size, and he's got to be in the conversation for man of the match.
Time back on. Strong red.
Ray Barkwell coming off, Eric Howard coming on. Ray Barkwell has given Canada a very serviceable 67 minutes. Scored that great try and did well getting around the park.
Well, your prediction that many of the reserves would see action is proving prophetic here, Brian, as Canada runs through the list almost.
Dano, ticket. Heads up on the ticket.
Substitution.
Canadian scrum
Set!
halfway deep in their own end.
Stay. Use them
Still
now.
up just a single point,
Stay.
and yet to take advantage of the Japanese red card earlier in the second half. High kick along the end, or the touch line, and Japan will take over.
No, no quick ball.
Referee prevents the quick ball. It will be a lineup instead.
Open.
Kizu in to throw. Japan controls Shigeno into the middle. Poirier can get no ground. Pushing forward in the ruck. Douglas Shigeno with a nice move. One quick step, and Japan with some ground, they're in. Down a man in Matsushima.
No.
He's in for the try, and Japan jumps back out in front. Down a man, 21-17.
Captain, come here. I'm ref. You're the captain. You control your players. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
And the referee with a warning to Team Canada, who appealed for a call on the scoring play.
Couple missed tackles, a nice offload.
That's it, player.
The Japanese 14 on 15 aren't going to quit. They knew they were close. They knew they had an opportunity. They seized it. They take a 4-point lead with a makeable convert to follow.
Still time left for Canada. There's no question about that, but there has to be some disappointment that Canada has allowed this to happen on a short-sighted team now for Japan.
Too late. Good.
Canada still holding the edge in tries, but those missed kicks just haunting them now. Tamura able to add the extra 2. The lead is now 6 for Japan, with under 10 minutes remaining here at BC Place Stadium.
A real character test for this new group under Mark Anscombe. The shoulders are down a bit, but they're down 6 points. A converted try can win the game for them, but they really have to pick it up. They have to take this game back, get in the Japanese end, try and do something positive, and punch one over. The Japanese are really going to play tough defense and try and somehow snatch this victory.
They control on the kick. Rozak Sampson is in for now Taylor Paris as the substitutions continue for Canada. Sampson in 23. Taken over on the wing for Mark Anscombe. Fresh legs, but also, big turnover. Sasakura had trouble with the ball originally, and good thing for Canada he did. There was nothing but daylight in front of him.
That would have been lights out if the intercept try for Japan came to fruition. A very high-risk pass trying to spring a man loose, and the ball was bobbled. And that would have spelled disaster for Canada.
Is there a call to be made for Anscombe? It is a test match rather than a World Cup elimination kind of match, where you see that your starting 15 were doing so well. Is there a point in time where a coach has to ask himself, do I leave this group on there, or do I develop and want to see the reserves?
I think as much as Mark Anscombe and his staff want the victory, they also want to evaluate talent. And the Rugby World Cup in Japan is in 2019. And Canada wants to get games of this magnitude. They obviously want to win them, but they also want to look at what they have. And I think regardless of how the game was unfolding, both benches were going to get their substitutions into the game. We may reflect back on this match and say, what if? But I also think it's a challenge to the boys who have come on to try and take the game by the throat in the last 10 minutes and win it. But your point is well taken. I also think when you have someone like Jamie Cudmore, who's 37 years old and has played his heart out for 55 or 60 minutes, it's probably a good thing to get someone in for the last quarter and sub him off.
Tom Dolezal is edging his way towards the touchline as well, appears to be coming in for Canada. And a nice run by Carpenter. Shaking off a couple of tackles and into the Japanese end. Dan Moore takes some contact and gains a couple of more yards. McCrory starts Canada the other way. Stoller showing his speed. And those might have been the best sequence of runs for Canada all game long, but held up by Japan halfway to the 22-meter line.
And very frustrating. Gordon McCrory tried to pick the ball up and spilled it. Canada were going forward. Aaron Carpenter made a nice burst. He's been the beneficiary of a yellow card and 10 minutes rest, so he has a little gas left in the tank. Off comes Jake Ilnicki. He's had a good game. But back to your earlier point, like it is paradoxical. It's a difficult decision. If this was a World Cup test, the decisions may be different. But I think Mark Anscombe's probably doing the right thing in trying to get minutes for everyone on the bench.
It's a delicate balance, to be sure, as Japan gets set for the scrum in their own half.
Set.
And really, Canada could have had their cake and eat it too. Not that the game is over, but should the score hold,
Stay out, please.
the kicks,
What if?
the kicks, the play on the pitch has been fun.
Yeah, it has. And I think, you know, one of the big questions coming into this game, based on the unavailable players in the sevens program, based on the unavailable professionals and or players with injuries, would this expose a lack of depth in the Canadian program or maybe showcase some younger players? I think overall it's been a good effort by Canada. I think they have made some mistakes. Missed kicks hurt you at every level of this game, and there still is 6 minutes left to try and snatch this. But it's been a positive afternoon for the Canadians.
Canada able to spin that scrum, but the referee blows play down as the ball appeared to be pried loose by Japan. And on the penalty, Japan takes over.
And they're just going to try and manage the clock. We did see this in World Cup ties when Canada was playing Italy. Canada elected to take a penalty to draw 2015, and Italy just nursed the last 10 minutes home. And that's what Japan's doing. And it's even more so an issue, the fact they're 14 on 15. Canada still has opportunity. Their lineout's been solid. They've got to have a go. They probably got something set in the back line here, but it all starts with a solid lineout win.
Thank you.
And if it comes to a Canadian lineout, keep in mind Barkwell is out, so it will be Eric Howard now with the throw. This is Japan lineout and a possibility of a turnover, but no, Japan holds on. And keeping in mind the score is a 6-point margin, so if Canada is somehow able to punch a try in here in the late going, it would come down to the boot and the conversion kick to take the lead. Canada merely trying to get the ball back at this point, though. Possession continues to favor Japan. And the 14-sided Japanese team at that.
And they're just slowing it down to a grind here. They do have the option to go for post, which would probably seal the victory. And that's what they're going to do. A makeable kick.
Time off.
And that would make it a 2-score game for Canada.
David,
with,
can you hear me?
Less than 5 minutes to go. Very difficult times.
Can you put in the screen the last rack? I want to see if the clean out of Japan was legal.
Possibility for a turnover as they
okay, thank you.
Check the video on the most recent scrum. We'll take a peek at it here. And
okay,
not sure what
I'm
the
happy with the clean
referee
out. Are you happy,
was going
David?
to be suspicious of there. This Kakinaga was the man at the bottom of the scrum.
That's what he was looking at. If the takeout was overly aggressive, we'll see 18 coming in from Japan and taking the Canadian player out.
Prying loose Alistair Clark.
No, he's chasing the action of the clean, so I'm happy. Are you happy? Okay, perfect. Time on, just penalty, no rolling away. Yeah. No rolling away.
It was not a spear where he threw the player to the ground. There was no malice. The player was in a very vulnerable position, but the Japanese player did not impact him into the ground. And that's what the referee is not reversing the penalty. And it's still a Japanese kick, and they're going to go for posts. And this might really seal it for them.
Possible dagger here for Canada. And a perfect day to the posts for Japan. 5 of 5. As we approach 4 minutes remaining here in Vancouver. Opening game of this summer series. Different opposition along the way. Russia next in Calgary, followed by Italy in Toronto. Tamura in to take the kick. Takes his time. Some clock management. The ball is up. And it's through. And that is a hard one to take for Team Canada. 9-point lead now for Japan, a game that Canada has either led or been awfully close throughout the entirety. And instead of the red card being in their
come on, bring it on.
benefit, it's gone against them. And since that red card, in fact, a 10-0 deficit for Canada.
Well, and another point you made, Blake, is that kick made it 6 for 6 for the Japanese. The Canadians have left 2 converts and 2 penalties on the table. And in the end, that's going to be the difference. The scrum was okay. The lineouts were okay. Canada's structure was good. I thought they played with enthusiasm. But in the end, kicking hurt them, and they could not take advantage of that red card. Something you have to do at this level.
All 16 of those kicking points, of course, coming off the boot of Tamura. Might be the Japanese man of the match at the very least.
No clear release.
And as good as Canada has been at the small ball, if you will, down the middle of the pitch, they might have to look for the big play here, even for the moral boost of a late score in this match.
Well, they have to score twice, which is a very difficult task as the clock is ticking down. But they've elected to put the ball in the corner, try and punch one over from a line out, and then reset. But it's going to be very difficult.
Stay.
They'll have to be quick. Howard with the throw, remember, replacing Barkwell here in this second half. Ball is up for Canada.
Play advantage.
And they're into the ball. Pushing hard on advantage. And now what to do for Canada?
Well, Aaron Carpenter's the acting skipper, and he's saying go for post because we got to score twice. But Matt Evans has taken the ball and put it in the touch, and they're going to try another driving maul.
Get
the hard score first, okay? I guess
you can go for the
strategy
ball,
here.
The guy with the ball, but not the lifter, okay?
But execution has to be quick here for Canada. Under 90 seconds remaining. The ball is up. Evans brings it down into the maul. Canada losing the momentum momentarily here. They're trying to push forward. Not much momentum going though. Not yet anyway. Carpenter. The backside of the maul. Trying to gain some ground. And now Carpenter in deep. Still with it. Canada pushing forward, looking for that last try of the day. Near the line, and they're in. Carpenter held the ball for the duration, and now Canada with the quick drop kick.
We restart.
And to the restart they go. Still down by 4. The driving maul. Debatable strategy rather than going for the post, but it works for Canada as they get the try.
Time off. Thank you.
Japan slow to get into formation following the try. Canada will have to execute quickly here. Canada effectively passing on the conversion attempt with the quick kick. 4th Canadian try of the day, and yet still down 4 points because of the kicking day for Canada. And now they'll need a big play to finish off this contest versus Japan. 4 tries to 2 in favor of Canada, yet the margin is 4 as time has run out on Canada. Final moments for a play. No room yet for Canada. 15 on 14. Evans swinging it out wide. McKenzie now. some quick touches. Canada with a little bit of room on this near side. Gets to half at the very least. The referee's discretion now before the whistle goes. Evans starts it the other way. McCrory down the middle now. But Canada needs the big play. McKenzie to McCrory. Stoller across center. Canada's best runs of the day, perhaps, but with time and the clock against them. They'll need a try here. Evans pushes forward. McKenzie, McCrory, and onto the far wing they go. Running low on time and room as Japan sets up the wall at the 10-meter line. Sears Duru taken down. To the strong side. Which one of these plays will be the last? Across the 10. McKenzie digging it out of the ruck for Canada. Heaton trying to go, didn't work. Evans to Moore. Into traffic. McKenzie digs it loose to Howard. Grinding forward. No room, though, to punch it through just yet. Olmstead still with possession. McCrory onto the far side. Evans. The stall. Now some room for Canada as Carpenter is taken down. More time for the red shirts of Canada. Fabulous play, the most excitement that the athletes of Canada on the outside have been able to generate all game long.
Line out.
Line out, no.
Scrum, we can go.
And the game cannot end on the penalty, so the momentum will continue here for Canada until a legitimate turnover is made. And again, the posts won't do here. Boy, what one of those extra kicks would have done for Canada. Grinding forward, play continues. Sears Duru, who's been a behemoth down the middle for Canada thus far. Olmstead pushing forward as well. Marvelous play for Canada here in the late going to this second half. Desperate for their 5th try of the day, Olmstead. Head to head with the opposition. And Sears Duru, a giant for Canada, gains ground again. Carpenter with the last push. So close to the try line. The Japanese defense is desperate. Olmstead. Sears Duru. Held up at the line.
Clear up.
Does he want to look? And that is it. Canada denied in the final centimeters of the pitch. Their 5th try of the game. A fabulous bit of work at the end of this second half, Brian. Boy, did the Canadian boys want that one.
What an effort in the end. The ball was held up. The referee didn't go upstairs. The backs on the right-hand side of the field were screaming for the ball. Forwards kept hammering away. We have to have the utmost respect for the Japanese defense as well, but Canada, it was in the offing. It wasn't touchdown.
No, it was not.
And the referee blew it up. Game over. Great effort by both sides. Canada will be gutted with that loss.
26-22 the final here at BC Place Stadium. Valiant effort. Many positives for Team Canada in their first game under new head coach Mark Anscombe. Back to wrap things up in just a moment on TSN.